What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a subscriber's first smoker fight, and after we go through it, I'm going to give some tips on how he can improve. Now, this is a series that I talked about doing before, reviewing subscribers' fight footage, but I honestly got overwhelmed with the amount of submissions I received. It was something like 200, and I just went, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with this? Even going through and trying to pick ones was so overwhelming. But today we're gonna start, and we're gonna look at footage of John having his first Muay Thai fight. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the email that John sent me. He said, attached is the film footage from my smoker 3 rounds. He said, thanks for the opportunity that you were giving to the fans. It's crazy with the internet today that we can all connect. So his name is Jack. He is 6'5", so he's going to be the taller guy in this fight footage. This was his first time going harder than sparring, and he's been doing this for about 2.5 years. Out of Colorado. He weighed in at 195 pounds and his opponent weighed in at 197 pounds. And the word on the street was that they were lightly cutting weight, food and sauna, which is something that most people end up doing, right? Weight cutting. So let's dive right into this first round here. And we're going to check out and see how he does. And remember, first fight. There's usually a lot of things that you can improve upon, especially when you've been going for 2.5 years, 2.5 years. It's not loads of time to perfect your technique. And even when you do get it decently high, you stumble down in the fight because you try to search too much for the knockout or you're nervous and you forget your technique. So let's roll this and see how John does. So right out of the get-go, we can see a massive size difference. 6'5". Below 200 pounds, you're going to usually be much, much taller. So you can tell both of these guys are a little bit more beginner or intermediate, a little bit more wild, but that's fine. You have lots of time after to increase your skill set. I would like to see John utilize his jab, there we go, a little bit more, just because of the range. When he throws that jab, I'd like to see the right hand stick tight to the jaw, so you're not punching and pulling the other hand back. Nice fake there, though. His opponent just fell off balance. A lot of times, energy conservation is very important early on, so the more movement, wasted movement you utilize, the more tired you're going to get very fast. There's a lot of footwork from John right now, and it'll be interesting to see if he fatigues a little bit as the fight goes on. There's those jabs now. He's planting the right hand a little tighter to the head. That's looking good. He's definitely winning right now. The right hand, when it's being thrown, the shoulder is very low, so the jaw is exposed. You can correct that by just snugging that shoulder right up to your jaw so that when you do throw a shot, you don't take risk of the counter coming and landing as you execute. His opponent there, big swing. That was a big, big swing. Both these guys drawing their hands back a little bit too much pre-punch. That makes it easier for your opponent to read what's coming. Things get a little bit sloppy though as we get tired, and especially when we're a beginner. And it's a good idea to be fighting with headgear on your first fight. That's just a smart thing to do. So overall, first round looking good. I mentioned a couple things that I wish John would work on, and we got later in the round and he was actually doing them. So yes, there's always room for improvement, but let's dive into round number 2 and see what happens. In my experience, a lot of times people come out really hard in round number 1 and then start to fade in round number 2. So here we go. Nice glove touch, front kick from his opponent, nice follow up there. Yeah, hands just coming a little low in between punches, swinging back too far. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just notes so you know to improve. Something else that we're not seeing too much of is little fakes from the outside to set up the punch. So you're at distance, you're making the guy think, but not actually ready to land, and then you close the distance and hit, as opposed to always trying to land those big shots. So a little low kick there from John. I'd like to see a little bit more leg. There's opponent, got one in. If you remember, if you're able to use the lower half of your body, it's a disadvantage to really not use it. Good backwards movement there from John. He saw his opponent loading up that right hand and just step backwards until his opponent went, oh yeah, okay, it's not worth it. John's actually doing a pretty good job when he does get hit, just rolling with the shot instead of keeping his head really stiff. Good job there, mixing things up, legs to hands, back to legs. Oh, his opponent almost leaned into that head kick. Well, he did lean in, just managed to keep his hands up though. Good again, good little head roll when John saw that punch coming. But that hand was a little slappy when you landed. You want to make sure you come with the knuckles. It just makes the force that much more impactful. Both these guys fading a little bit in terms of the technique, but pushing hard. Okay, so round number 3 is coming up. I'll just get this all set here. So what I saw in that round was a little bit more variety, which I liked. Integrating those legs into the combinations, which is so very, very important. And before we get to round number 3, we're going to take a quick pause to give a shout out to the sponsor of this episode, By Optimizers. This magnesium, I took it for the last training camp, felt phenomenal. This training camp right now, again, phenomenal. What's the difference? Just this one supplement. You have to make sure that when you get magnesium, you're not just getting a no-name brand that just doesn't really have all the critical 7 forms of magnesium that you actually do need. This is being preached to me over and over throughout my career. We are looking for quality. Doesn't matter if it's supplements, food, you got to get the good stuff. And this product is fantastic. It is Black Friday, so you can save 25% until Cyber Monday if you head over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel and use the promo code Gabriel10. Whenever I talk about this product on the channel, if you look down through the comments, there are people who comment and go, yes, this is the real deal and this has changed my training. This product has improved my sleep. It's improved my recovery. If you want testimonials, they're there in the comments. They're not hidden. It's not like you have to go far to find out, does this stuff really work? I'm telling you, subscribers are telling you, give a shot, take a try, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Let's move to the final round here. So both big guys who are swinging hard. So it's impressive that they've both managed to avoid any massive injuries so far. No big shots landed yet. Flush shots are landing, but because these guys are still trying to learn how to execute correctly, it's a little harder to really land big shots and hurt somebody. John's hands coming back a little low and that chin rising up a little high. If you can just sort that out, tuck that chin a little tighter, it'll help when you take shots without the headgear, especially to minimize damage. Nice cross right there. He's doing a good job maintaining range, but still when you throw the jab, you don't want it to slide downwards. Even if you feel you're out of safe range, you want it to come straight out and straight back. His opponent didn't take real advantage there of keeping John in the corner. That's what he should be trying to do. He should be trying to pin John into the corner. Hold him there. Because in the middle of the ring, John has that advantage. Nice low kick from his opponent. I'd say, John, those arms look like they're fading now. It looks like the shoulder conditioning is probably dying down a bit. So if you can get on some of my shoulder conditioning drills to really work and get those things on point for next time, that'd be great. Good, walking into some punches now. His opponent swings so hard he almost falls. Good little shot with the knee there. Yeah, John's arms are completely down, so shoulder conditioning so that you can pull him back to the head in the fight. Big swings now. but the technique's gone. That's okay. It's a first fight. It's a smoker. It's all about improving after this. His opponent's throwing everything he has now into these shots. Ooh, that was a bit of a big one there. And time. 3 rounds in the books. Fun to watch. Now let's go through some pointers and just overall conclude what we saw. So one of the big things that we want to avoid when we throw punches is drawing back. The drawback not only slows the punch time from here to here and there to there is obviously going to slow it down, but it also gives that pull where people can recognize that you're obviously loading up with this. Sometimes you'll see super advanced guys pull and then use the other hand and then come into that. But if you're not doing it, you want to make sure shots are crisp and they come right out. You feel like you're going to hit harder when you do this, but chances are you miss most of the shots and they don't land, as we saw in this fight. So really executing that crisp technique from the head to the target and back is going to be ideal. We also saw John utilize a decent amount of movement around the ring. And remember, a lot of movement is exhausting. If you're doing movement, from here to there, just taking small angles to offset your opponent's attack, that's great. But if you're just moving around, then it becomes very fatiguing. And sometimes people move, they're running, and the opponent can just do that. So you're expending more energy as your opponent is just basically tracking you at a distance and resting. So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you're going to implement a lot of movement, make sure it's smart and not wasted energy. And finally, I would have liked to seen John utilize a little bit more with those kicks because he has that great length. If he was fighting somebody who was a little bit more advanced, they might recognize, okay, John's really long, so as he jabs me, I'm going to utilize my long legs and chop his leg down. But if John had utilized maybe a jab out of range and then landed that low kick, there's no way his opponent could get to him. So mixing up the techniques is very important to make sure that you're not predictable, but also utilizing that length when you're 6'5" or taller than your opponent ever is a very good idea. Utilize those legs, keep them at range, and then when you want to throw those hands, everything crisp, you step in, you throw your shots, you exit back to that ideal range which you want to fight at, being the taller fighter. And that's all I'm going to say today about this. Overall, it wasn't the prettiest performance in the world, but man, who on their first fight after only a couple years of training looks so good? It just happens so rarely. So congratulations to John. I don't actually have let me see here. I don't think I have any notes on who actually won. Maybe that's just because it was a smoker, and it was just a lot of times on smokers, they don't announce winners. But I would say that John would have won that fight. I wasn't really scoring, but I went probably the first 2 rounds for John. The last one, he took some shots, so he probably lost it. But overall, I think that would have been a win in his favor, and it was a great performance, especially for your first fight. And I keep saying to people on the channel, the first fight is the hardest. Your second one, you have a little bit more experience. Yes, the opponents get more and more difficult, as I've had in my career. The further you go, the harder they get, but you get better and better, and you calm down more, and you can start executing more like you actually do in the gym. So guess what? I bet next time John can stop letting his hands pull from way down here, and he can come a little higher with them. Maybe his shoulder conditioning will be a little more on point, and he can throw the whole time without having those arms feel like they're full of weighted, whatever he was fighting in, 16-ounce gloves. So I hope this is a series that many people want me to continue with. Again, as I mentioned, it's very difficult for me to go through and find who has the right footage. But if you want to send it my way, you're welcome to, but I need a couple things. This footage that John sent me, it was crisp, which means I can put it up for you guys and you're gonna go, oh, that's nice footage. It's not 4K maybe, but it's like 1080p, and I can post it up. Many people sent me footage or video footage where I went, I can't put that up. It's just so grainy and so small. So if you are going to send something my way, think about the quality of the footage. And let's call it there today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, give it a like. If you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed. Nice work to John. Thank you very much for sending over the footage and allowing me to review your very first smoker fight. Everybody, as always, train hard, and I will see you back here soon for another video.